Hey everyone, it's Rich Bennett. Can you believe it? The show is turning 10 this year. I am so grateful for each and every one of you who've tuned in, shared an episode, or even joined the conversation over the years. You're the reason that this podcast has grown into what it is today. Together, we've shared laughs, tears, and moments that truly matter. So I want to thank you for being part of this journey. Let's make the next 10 years even better.
Coming to you from the Freedom Federal Credit Union Studios, Harford County Living presents Conversations with Rich Bennett.
Slow pitch transfer.
It's probably the least sexy part of the work. No. The truth is,
What do you do when your teenager is spiraling and nothing seems to help? How do you respond when the crisis hits home and it's your kid at the center of it all? Today's guest knows that heartbreak all too well. Not because he lived it as a parent, but because he's walked alongside thousands of families who have. Austin Davis is a licensed professional counselor supervisor in Texas and the founder and CEO of Clear Fork Academy, one of the largest Christ-centered residential treatment centers for teens in the state. Since 2017, Austin has helped rehabilitate more than 5,000, you heard me right, 5,000 teenagers struggling with substance abuse and mental health disorders. He's also the author of My Kid, My Crisis, a powerful book that gives parents a roadmap through the chaos and confusion of adolescent addiction and mental health breakdowns. But this isn't just another clinical take. Austin brings a rare blend of professional experience, spiritual insight, and heart. His work goes beyond recovery. It's about helping kids rediscover their purpose and helping parents breathe again. So if you're a parent, educator, coach, or just someone who cares deeply about the next generation, this conversation might be the lifeline you didn't know you needed. So grab your coffee, grab your water, whatever it is you're drinking, and sit back and take notes because you're going to learn a lot. How's it going, Austin?
Hey, I'm doing great this morning. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Well, and because we talk about mental health and addiction on here a lot. I mean, a lot. And it's heartbreaking when you hear about the kids going through it. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've probably seen an uptick, but I think especially since COVID, I think you're seeing more and more, definitely more kids with mental illness, but I think even the addiction numbers have gone up.
Yeah, right? There's definitely an upward trend, right? I think it's twofold. It's right. Consequences of the world shutting down, and then also awareness, right? There's policy and things from the highest level that are systemically changing, how we do behavioral health.
Right.
And so we know diabetes and depression are getting the same sort of attention.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I don't understand now, I don't know how it is in Texas, but like Narcan, can you get Narcan for free out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned diabetes, and this is something that really irks me. The EpiPens. They're not free out there, are they?
No.
What the hell?
Yeah. No, I mean, anytime we can go on a real big tangent about big pharma and, this systemic brokenness of, what drives all of those things.
But it's scary because you think about it, there are a lot of people that die from allergies.
Yeah.
And I do believe that restaurants should definitely have them on hand. But when it's like $1,300 a pen and it's got to be prescribed, you can't.
Right.
But you're right. That's a whole nother podcast. All right. So I want to go back a ways to the start of this. What actually made you decide this is what you wanted to do? And have you always been doing this?
Yeah, so I really thought I was going to work in the local church as a
Mhm.
youth pastor. Didn't grow up in
Nice.
church. Went to church for the first time at 15 with a friend, and I was like, okay, this makes sense, right? Like,
Hmm.
God captivated my heart, and I, at 18, packed everything up into my 1994 Chevy truck with 200,000 miles on it.
Nice.
Drove to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Did an
Wow.
undergrad. Yeah, grew up in Fort Worth. Drove 1,000 miles away. Didn't know a person. Um, and did an undergrad in pastoral ministries. And 4-year degree. There was a seminary across the street. Went to that. Did master's in divinity, and so all through that time, I was kind of a adjunct youth pastor, part time, full time, those sort of things. So just working with teenagers in that setting,
Right.
um, and then through that, like every time a kid catches the house on fire or runs away or gets pregnant or gets in a fight, whatever crisis,
Hmm.
um, I wasn't opening up Romans and we weren't exegeting stuff. I was just looking at the kid going, what the hell? Like
Yeah.
what's happening at home that made these decisions seem logical in your brain? And so
Hmm.
had a lot of counseling classes. And so I had already completed my thesis. I had 5 hours left on the MDiv and went to my dean and said, hey, I want to add a master's of counseling to all of this. And
Wow.
went back and did 24 or so more hours, and that way I can professionalize those conversations, where I really have I'm kind of a nerd, and so I have to read a book before I go do something.
That's smart
um
though. That's being smart.
yeah. And it allowed me to professionalize that and sort of another vertical, and
Right.
it just kind of took fire into my heart. Um, and so got a master's in counseling, got licensed, moved back to Texas, psych hospitals, case management, kind of the grunt work of early clinician stuff,
Okay.
and then started working in adult residential treatment. One of my mentors gave me an opportunity, and just loved it. I was like, these dudes are my people. So I was 18 and up, and did that for about 5, 6 years. But what I noticed was I'm leading a group of 8 or 10 adult men, and John starts talking about his story, and I'm like, hey, dude, when did that happen? He was like, when I was 12. And then Mike over here goes, oh, mine happened the same thing, but I was 14. And then Bill jumps in and goes, yeah, mine was 16. And now I got a group of men who are all mentally in their adolescent stage of life, where we're processing while they're drinking a handle of whiskey every other day.
Right.
Um, and so just kind of had this entrepreneurial seizure. It was like, man, I've got this youth pastor calling, and I've got this clinical sort of expertise. Can I smash those together? And that's really what Clear Fork, when it started in 2016, was, man, what if we can take these 40-year-olds and catch them at 12, catch them at
Yeah.
13, catch them at 14, and there's a definite clear fork in their life to where they don't end up on this path, right? And so,
Wow. That all right. So I have to ask you this because, and I'll be honest with you, when I first started this, the first time I talked to anybody in recovery, they were it was a roundtable. It was like
hmm,
4 or 6 peer recovery specialists with our local health department, which I had no idea what a peer recovery specialist was. And then when I found out and they told their stories, I was just in tears.
mhm.
But correct me if I'm wrong, you're not in recovery yourself, right?
No, I have the normie tag, right?
Okay.
So like when we started the adult treatment facility, I picked up the AA book for the first time, and
Okay.
I'm leading a group of like 32 old timers, right? And I'm 30 something years old, and they're like, "You little piece of shit, you don't know anything about AA," and I had to have those conversations. But I love the recovery field and mindset. Man, it's just applicable. When we read,
Yeah.
like you read the big book, you read the 12 steps that come out of James, they come out of, Stoicism and philosophy and the Proverbs. And you can apply it to any kind of facet of life.
Well, and that's the thing because, and like I said, everybody I've talked to that's helping other people in recovery, I, I do believe they, maybe with the exception of one or two, they've all been in recovery themselves.
Yeah.
And which, when you're dealing with people in recovery and you haven't been through it, it can be hard because they're going to say, well, exactly what those older people said. You haven't been through it. However, the one plus that you have, you got the biggest support system behind you, and that's the man upstairs.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I work with teenage boys, and so I roll up on campus. I got long hair, kind of a big guy. And so, and I'm the owner, right? So immediately they're enamored, and they go, "Bro, what drugs did you use?" And I'm like, "I didn't use drugs." And they're like, "Well, how the hell do you own a treatment center? And how do you blah, blah, blah? And you're a poser." And I said, like, I read through some of your information, and, I see that your parents divorced, right? And your dad didn't show up, and you kind of hate him. And every time he shows up, you want to, use or cut yourself. Or he's like, "Yeah, my dad's a blah, 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 blah." I was like, "Cool." My parents divorced when I was 10. I remember my dad put me on the front porch swing and said, "Hey, I'm gone. You got to take care of your brother and your mom. You're the man of the house now." At 10 years old.
10 years old.
Right.
Wow.
Let's fast forward a decade, and I, the other kids standing in the circle, and I said, like, your homie died, right? Like your sibling died, whoever in your family. I remember the last day I talked to my brother. I slapped him on the head, his helmet, and we both had sport bikes, and I said, "I love you. Be careful." He went one way, I went the other way. The next time I saw him was in a coffin. And
how old was your brother?
He was 18. I was 21.
Wow.
Right. And so it's not, I could go on 10 more stories like that. When I read kids' clinical charts and the things that they've gone through, the only thing that makes this different, guys, is you use drugs to take care of your problem.
Right.
And I didn't. Right. But so let's not talk about drugs. Let's talk about how you're dealing with your dad. Let's talk about how you're dealing with death. Let's talk about how you're dealing with your heart getting broken. Let's talk about all of the trash that you just don't have the skills to manage. And so that's what makes us the same in recovery. It's not that you used cocaine and I used Molly, like whatever, like it's the stuff of real life that we need to learn to process together. And so that's where I connect with our kids and our customers and our families and all those things. It's like substance use is low hanging fruit.
Right. And you've been doing this since 2016 is when you started Clear Fork?
Yeah, I started Clear Fork in 16, but really been doing this almost since 2008.
Wow. All right. So, and I'm sure you probably get asked this a million times, but how hard was it during COVID? I guess you were considered essential, right?
Oh, we were 100% essential.
Okay.
We had just built a 10,000 square foot building. We moved into it. We were hanging pictures on the wall 1st of March, and then 10 days later, we're like, everybody go home, right? Like,
wow.
No, everybody who's back office go work from home, and then quickly realized like that is not a sustainable concept and model. And so is this really danged if you do and danged if you don't? It's like the people were demanding that we stay open, and then at the same time, out of the other side of their mouth, they were like, "I can't believe you are staying open. You're putting everybody at risk." So, mentally as a leader, it was a very difficult time, right? It was difficult for any business owner, but man, those are the things that we're going to tell war stories are over and for the next 2, 3, 4 decades of what that was really like. But it was just a great opportunity to help families, help kids. Our census went from like 24 to 40, in 4 weeks, and
wow.
At the same time, nobody wants to work. So and we're still paying the price. We're still paying the price of some of that mindset from staffing and things like that. Definitely from inflation and.
But the important thing is you didn't shut down.
No, so we actually opened up a girls' campus in the latter half of that. So glutton for punishment, and so we realized, hey, this is a huge need. We were boys only. Our flagship was boys only, and so we had 38, 40 boys kind of all, around the clock. And the phone kept ringing for girls. And so we, in 21, built a girls campus about 60 miles south. And so now that's got 40 beds. And so, yeah, we got a boys campus and a girls campus to help the whole continuum of care.
So with both of the campuses and your staff, is it all faith-based? Or do you actually have, like, I mean, you yourself, you have all the certifications. Do you have some people that are working with you that are actually in recovery themselves as well?
Yeah, so I say we're clinically based, right?
Okay.
We're clinically based and Christ-centered, right?
Okay.
So those two things can be true at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I got all the certifications, right? I got a medical director who did 20 years of family practice and then 20 years of psychiatry. So he knows. He's been there and seen that. We got 2 nurse practitioners manage all of our meds, and then 24-hour nursing, and then 24 clinicians, right? That have letters after the name. And so the backbone of our people are our techs, right? And I said that they got the T-shirt and the tattoo, right? They live that journey and that life, and their heart and their passion is to make sure these kids don't end up where they were.
So even though you're based in Texas, do you accept kids from anywhere around the country? Like here we have Ashley Addiction Treatment, which does it. You do?
Yep,
Nice.
all over the country. So I think we're probably at 30 states or so, that we've had a kiddo from. One from Puerto Rico, so it's
wow.
Wherever the internet touches, or we had a social worker here whose cousin lived in Maryland one time. And so, that kid came down. So,
which makes a big difference too with somebody in addiction. If they can get away from where they're at, it definitely helps out. And sometimes they don't even go back.
Right.
Well, something very important then, because I don't want to wait till the end. Tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, where, the website and everything.
Yeah, clearforkacademy.com. That has all of our information, phone number in the top right-hand corner, calls to our admissions triage center. So, I mean, if you're early stage and just have a question of signs and symptoms, or you're sitting in the ER and need to find a place, for treatment today, then we can help. All
right. So is there a certain age range?
Yeah, so 13 to 17 is our niche. We can occasionally treat an 18-year-old, right? And so we each room has its own kind of context for, putting a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old same room, not smart. So, the younger house and then the older house and things like that.
And how long are they usually in for? What's the average?
Yeah, average
that doesn't sound right, does it? How long are they in for?
Oh, they'll tell you. They'll tell you. They'll count down the minutes. Our program is designed for 90 days, and so we kind of have this scope and sequence we follow. I wrote our curriculum, and so we follow our values, interventions, and skill concept every single day, and they go through each one of those.
You guys accept insurance from anywhere, right?
Yeah, we're in network with a dozen or so, and then if it's out of network or something, we'll figure it out, do single case agreements, and was working on one this morning, trying to write it up for some folks. So
what makes you stand out from other treatment centers?
So our 3 uniques, right, is obviously having this faith or Christ-centeredness.
You're on an Apple computer, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right. For those of you listening, if you don't know what we're laughing about, Austin just gave the thumbs up, and all of a sudden this bubble comes up on his screen with a thumb in it. It's like, well, okay.
Yeah.
He's playing tricks on me. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, no, it's annoying. I need to figure out to turn that off. So having a faith-centered, Christ-centered approach to what we do and the steps and recovery concepts, that's what brings families to us from the farthest away, right?
Okay.
Second is we're family focused, and so that really means that we're integrating family systems into all the work that we do. And so we know if the family doesn't get better, the kiddo's chance of getting better is slim to none. And
Yes.
we have, 30-acre property sitting on top of the highest point in our county looking over a lake, and families come in and drop their kid off,
Wow.
and then they're like, hey, can I stay here? And so our joke is, yeah, you leave the kid at home and you come do 90 days worth of work, and I bet our outcomes will be the same. Because that's how much we
Wow.
believe in family systems. And so we'll do a 2-day family intensive every 6 weeks to educate the kid, educate the family, and let everybody kind of get their tears out and their angry words out in a safe space. And then thirdly is we say we're long term, right?
Right.
We're longish term, right? We're not a 7 to 10-day stay at a psych hospital, and we're not long-term boarding school, right?
Right.
So that's we're right in the middle kind of that. And we follow our process, our recipe for the Clear Fork Way.
All right. So with that, since you're not long term, do you work with other organizations, especially since you're working with kids that are between the ages of 13 and 17? Chances are a lot of them have dropped out of high school. So do you work with other organizations that will help them, like either get them back into school, get their GED, job, or whatever?
Yeah, so we have a charter school on campus. So
Oh, wow.
90% of our kids are behind in school, have some sort of IEP. Probably 50% of them have some sort of IEP or special education plan. So we have principals, teachers, assistants. We've had kids graduate, right? So they come in at 17 with 12 credits left, and they're able to crank through those things because they're in class, they're sober, they have assistants. And so we partner with the University of Texas in Austin. And so the credits circle through there. And so they can come in, unenroll from their local ISD, enroll in our charter school, and then transition directly back. And if there's continuing need after that, we'll facilitate and coordinate, where they transition back to.
All right. From what you know, I mean, so far you're the only person I know of that has this. Do you know if there's any other places like this in the country, especially for this age group?
Yeah, we have a couple of in the state. There's a
Really?
couple small 8 to 16 bed facilities,
Okay.
but nothing really pronounced like what we do, right? Like with our 3 uniques that do family systems, faith centered, our core values driven programming, and so super unique across the country.
All right, then in that case, so how long have you been getting on podcast?
Really just this year.
Okay.
Do a couple a week maybe.
Has anybody from any other state or even country reached out to you yet to get information from you about how to start one in their own place?
Oh,
Because if not, I have a funny feeling they will be.
yeah. I do some like consulting, not
Okay,
like
good.
official, right? So every once in a while, people will call and say, "Hey, how did you do that? How did you do that? How did you?"
Right.
So nothing like formal, but just kind of like, what if. So one of the ones I mentioned was literally a couple of therapists who came through and toured our facility, had a brother die, and they're like, "Hey, we want to do one. Our family's got some money," and so that it kind of grows because of what we do. So
Yeah. All right. And we keep talking about the addiction part, but I really haven't covered the mental health part yet. Because now with the mental health part, is that 90 days as well? Or do you guys like offer where people could, I guess that would be outpatient in and out for like therapy and all?
Yeah, so about 18 months ago, we did outpatient. We have 2 outpatient locations, one in Fort Worth and then one in close to Dallas. And so mental health treatment, partial hospitalization, those sort of things. And so we'll treat kind of this whole continuum of care. for our
Nice.
kiddos.
Yeah, and I guess about the only thing you really can't do, I guess, would be in that field would be virtual from other states.
So we do virtual within Texas.
Within Texas, that's all.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so our licensing and stuff doesn't cross state lines.
I hope
So
that changes. God, I hope that changes.
There's supposed to be some legislation, and I don't know who's holding on to it. So it's like Texas is really particular about crossing state lines with stuff. So we'll see.
But you think about it. I mean, how many places do not have the facilities to help, especially kids,
right,
or even adults that have a mental health crisis going on?
Yeah. Well, just surrounding Texas, right? Like, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Louisiana, Arkansas, like those are kind of rural states, right? Like they don't have real robust economies and hundreds of thousands of clinicians to serve the population. And so it is a huge need. It's a huge need that I think every state's trying to solve. So
now, is that one of the reasons you wrote the book, My Kid, My Crisis?
Yeah, so that was just kind of a memoir of sorts, right? Of just kind of taking these, everybody asks, what's your favorite story about a family? Well, so I just kind of took those stories to help parents not feel alone, right? Because when families come in and we do our family intensives, one family's sharing their story, and then another mom just like busts out into tears, and she's like, "Oh my God, I thought I was the only one." Well, no, there's 30 people in the room that have the same exact story,
right?
And so it was really just to help families know and understand you're not alone, right? It's just making it normal for some of those folks. So it's like
stories, but also a guidebook in a way.
Yeah, so laid on top of the stories are clinical best practices of how I would address those needs, and not at a master's level or PhD level, like kind of common language. Here's how we'd use Bowenian family therapy. Here's how we'd use cognitive behavioral therapy, and so you should be able to take those and go, okay, I relate to this story, and then maybe I can apply this communication skill to our family dinner time.
Oh man! And when did this come out? I got to get this now.
Yeah, it's about a year old. It's about a year old. I probably wrote it 4 years ago, and it just sat on my desk. And one of my mentors forced me to, get it published and printed.
Austin, man, why'd you leave it sitting there?
Yeah, I know. It's just one of those side projects.
Now self-published.
Yeah.
Is there audio version as well?
No, I don't think so. I think we can tailor that to Amazon, or I could probably do it real quick with AI.
Or do it yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the voice.
Oh yeah, I could definitely read it.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, because otherwise, well, unless you use AI, then that's free. But a lot of times when a lot of people get other people to narrate their book, especially if it's a novel, I understand you have different characters. Yeah. But if it's just you, do it yourself, and it's free. You got the equipment. Otherwise, you wouldn't be recording the podcast right now.
Right.
Let's take a little break here. I want to talk about one of my sponsors, Maryland Pickers. Maryland Pickers is a local junk removal service, and they also have dumpster rentals as well. I actually called Jeremy when we were doing our spring cleaning this year, and he brought the dumpster out and quick to answer the phone. Came out the day he said he was going to pick it up, answered all my questions. Everything was fine. Phenomenal. Very professional to work with. So if you're looking for junk removal service, if you're looking to rent a dumpster, contact Maryland Pickers. Go to marylandpickers.com or give them a call at 443-206-1859. Again, that's 443-206-1859. Tell them that Rich from Harford County Living sent you. So with the book, because you said it's got stories in there, can you share, and if you don't want to, that's fine, but one of the stories that really hits you hard in a good way or an emotional way? Yeah.
I didn't put this in the book, but it's probably my favorite.
Okay.
we had just opened the treatment facility. We had 6 kids. I actually lived on campus. We have a ranch style residential kind of setting. I lived in one house, kids lived in another, and then we had staff offices in the third house. And so we'll call him Mike. He comes in. He's a big kid. He's 17 years old. He's every single day. He's like, F everything. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not doing the steps. I'm not going to group. I'm not, just wanted to fight everything. And at day 74, he has a little bit of trouble in the afternoon, kind of like right before bedtime. And so I leave my house, put my kids to bed, walk down the hill, and I'm sitting with him, and he's like, man, I've effing tried effing everything. And, we kind of go through why he's stuck, and we tried this and he said it didn't work. We tried this and he said it didn't work. He tried this and he said it work. And I said, man, like, what do you think would happen if and he kept saying this phrase, like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Right.
And I said, so I knew, right? I knew as a clinician what was wrong with him. I needed him to say it out loud. I needed him to express it and discover it. And I said, so what if you just ask God? Like, I know you don't want anything to do with him. You just told me that shit doesn't work, right? Air quotes there. Let's just ask him. As you go to bed tonight, ask him what's wrong. And 8:00 the next morning, we do breakfast, and he's like, hey, I need to talk to you. And we go into his room, and there's kind of everybody has gone to group and whatnot. And he's like, man, I did what you said. And he goes, my words to God were, God, what the F is wrong with me? Show me what the F to do.
Wow.
And he's like, that was my prayer. And I went to bed, and I dreamt for the first time this horrific nightmare that was my life. And I didn't realize that when we moved from this location to this location at like 7th grade, he said for the next 2 years, I would get off the bus and walk home, and the neighbor down the street from me would molest me.
Oh my God.
Lured me into his house and took advantage of me for 2 years. Right. And he's like, I had compressed that. I had zero thoughts of it until I asked God what the F is wrong with me. And so we just sat there on this floor at day 74 of treatment.
Wow.
Right. We had fought this kid for 10 weeks almost. And that one moment changed his life forever. We wept, we hugged, we made a plan. And the next 2 weeks, you saw a different human. He was like, now my life makes sense. It just clicked, right? He was able to kind of reconcile all of the things, right? And so it was just such a reminder to the process of recovery and why we have 90 days and the power of just prayer.
Yeah.
Just step 1, step 2, and step 3, this power greater than myself for restoring me to sanity. And then, hey, dude, can you help me? So, just really having that moment was huge. And so that was one that I didn't put in there, but that's what gets me up every single morning. That's what helps me teach and train our staff to endure the suck, when kids are pissed every day for 74 days, we just keep kind of putting our head down, keep working the treatment plan and engaging in their life until they discover what they need to discover.
Now, have you heard from him since then?
Gosh, it's been like 7 years.
Right.
He went ROTC. He did graduated college or high school, and then I think went to college. So yeah, he's one of those that I need to. That kind of it's after about 3 years, there's a lot of kids to keep track of.
Well, yeah. And actually, with that, and I've never even thought about this until just now because I'm thinking of like high school and even colleges and trade schools. Do you have like an alumni night where some of the people that have gone, you do?
Yeah, so it's on Saturday or Sunday evenings we'll have our alumni come back and speak.
Oh,
So we'll do
nice.
like speaker meetings. We do quarterly alumni events, and so we'll do Six Flags or barbecue in the park, and like we'll just kind of gather everybody. I think we had 60 to 70 last month.
That's
So
great.
we do one each quarter.
Makes them
So yeah.
realize that they're still important.
Yeah, well, it gives them community, right?
Yeah.
And show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And so we just try to cultivate this idea of togetherness and unity, so that they call somebody when the days suck, when
Yeah.
something happens, right?
I want to get back on mental health a minute too, because
Yeah.
you've seen the landscape of teen mental health shift over the past decade. What are the most significant changes that you've noticed?
There's this in vogue concept or idea that being depressed is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like I grew up in the 80s and 90s and we saw all the trends come through. Um, it just seems really cool to cut yourself. It seems really cool to be depressed, and it seems this badge of honor, almost like you get into the war story in the AA, is, communities. It's kind of the same thing, but it's pervasive, right? It's
Yeah.
and to help to get these kids to understand that having bad mental health, being poor, being mentally ill is not cool.
No.
And having some vibrato, having some self-esteem, having backbone, man, that's just a whole different concept for some of these kids in this generation.
That's one thing I have noticed with this generation. You do see a lot more kids talking. Some of them will even say like they have depression or they're autistic or whatever, and they don't.
Right.
You're right. It's like they think it's cool or something.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. And I think the words, right? I am, or I have,
Yeah.
those are powerful words, right? Like I get depressed, right? Like, if the sun doesn't shine or I miss workouts or, like whatever happens in the business, right? Like there are moments of depressed mood.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I got a tattoo and it's there forever, right? Like it's a moment and it's not permanent, right? I know tomorrow's going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids, they wear it. I am broken. I am depressed. I am anxious. Like, it's a lot of education of like, man, you can't keep saying that to yourself or you're going to perpetuate the problem.
I'll never forget when my daughter was in middle school. Was it middle school or elementary school? One or the other. I mean, they weren't that old. And all of a sudden, her friend just out of the blue looks at me and says, "Yeah, I have PTSD." I'm like, what? I mean, it floored me because me being a veteran at the time, PTSD, you only heard of veterans having it.
Right.
Now, apparently everybody has gotten it.
Yeah, I've got PTSD because my mom took my phone away.
Yes,
I've heard that one.
It's like
over and over and over. I'm like, no, like you're a kid, mom controls your phone. Right. So,
I don't get it. All right. So this is, I'm almost afraid to ask this.
Go for it.
All right. So what role do you think social media and digital culture play in the rise of anxiety, depression, and substance use among teens?
Yeah, no, it's if there were embers, in this little campfire, it is the high octane jet fuel that is poured on top of it every single day. Mm-hmm. We know it scientifically. We've watched the documentaries that that were on Netflix. Like we just know the minute we put a device in our hand, the dopaminergic parts of our brain light up and we become addicted. It is what it is. And so, when we were kids, nothing was encapsulated. We could go, toilet paper a house or knock on a door or get in a fight, whatever it was. And nobody was videotaping it. It wasn't permanently in the internet. And so I think the consequences of some of these actions are are permanent for some of these kids, and they don't know how to overcome them. They can't escape them, and so there's the addiction side of it. Then I think there's that permanency of that being out in the internet for the consequences.
Yeah.
You know, so and so broke up with, or so and so had sex with, and videotaped it, or like what I mean, like we've seen some horror stories that end up in suicide attempts.
Exactly. Yeah, it's scary, and I think I think some states have already passed some laws already where it's they're coming down on these people that are especially posting like naked photos and videos out there.
Yeah.
And now if they could just do something with the internet bullying,
Right.
Maybe that would help. Is there actually a warning sign you think parents tend to overlook or dismiss early on?
People, places, and things. Those warning signs are like, have the friends changed? Are there new people that come into that environment, right? Things, were they playing? Was the trumpet in their hand, and now it's no longer in their hand, and they've replaced that with something else. And then places is obvious, right? They after school. Or they're missing school, right? So they're not at the place they're supposed to be, and so they're skipping school and just going to hang out at Taco Bell and doing whatever, right? Like people, places, and things. It's an old adage, but I think it just holds true of like you gotta pay attention. And parents are dismissive of the sort of just slow drift that all of a sudden ends up in the ER and like, oh my God, nobody saw this coming. We're like, well, yeah, you kind of did because of the last 6 months.
Yeah. And actually with the family, what do you think are some routines or even habits you recommend for families trying to reestablish trust and stability at home?
I'm a huge fan of dinner.
Yes. Thank you.
So, I have 3 kiddos. I just celebrated 20 years with my wife. And I'm just a huge proponent of dinner time without the phone, without distractions. And we have conversations with our kids. We do. Yeah. And it's not just, so I frame conversations kind of in 2 ways, right? There's shoulder to shoulder and there's knee to knee. And so I have shoulder to shoulder conversations with my son anytime we're in the car, right? Like we're sitting next to each other. We're doing RC cars, whatever we're doing. Those are kind of shoulder to shoulder. How's your day? What fears are you having? What challenges are you having? Like what just while we're doing things shoulder to shoulder. And then there's times that there are knee to knee, right? Where I have a specific thing that I want to address with him about his life, about a character flaw or an admonition of something I see in him that I want him to elevate. And so I've pre-contemplated, probably written down those types of conversations. And I think a lot of parents waste the hundreds of hours in the car. It just blows my mind when I'm driving down the road and I see a kid on with headphones and a device in his face, and there's 3 kids in the back seat doing the same thing. Like man, those are huge memories and formative times for the last 100 years of people, right? And so I think we're wasting those, and then we're just afraid to have knee-to-knee conversations because what the kid will do. The kid's in control of the family usually.
Yeah, without a doubt there. Yeah, that's one of the things I've always said. And I remember growing up, we always had the family sitting down at dinner time.
Yeah.
Even if it was something that mom was making and we knew we wouldn't like liver and onions.
Yeah.
I think she called the neighbors ahead of time because there were times I remember I would say, oh, well, I'm going to go eat at Keith's house. He invited me over. Well, you better check with his mother first. And all of a sudden it's like, no, we didn't invite him. I'm like, I know she called ahead of making me eat them liver and onions. But those conversations, you learn so much. And the other thing, too, with those conversations that I believe this is missing from families a lot is family history. I mean, like with our family, unless it's a family gathering at my sister's or something, a lot of the kids don't know about our family unless they go there.
Yeah.
And even my niece's husband, he I have to laugh because every time he comes, I think he grabs another paper plate for the family tree, trying to keep up with it. And he'd be like, "Oh, wait a minute, when did this one come?" It's like, but I mean, those are memories that you'll have forever. Those family dinners are very, very important. Very important. Besides family dinners, are there any tools, whether it be books, apps, or even routines that you recommend for teens or families post-treatment?
So I'm just big on communication and routines, right? We use a project management tool just for our home. We homeschool. My wife was a teacher for a decade in public school, and so like we use Asana and Slack just to manage all the things, right? I think because when you sit and plan a quarter with your kids, right? So we do this. I did this a couple Christmases ago. I said, like, I want each one of you to, write down 12 things that you would like to do with dad over the next 12 months. Right. So I had 3 kids, so I had 36 items. And I was like, okay, like, Emma, we're gonna do this one on January. We're gonna do this one on March. We're gonna do this one, like, we can't go skiing in January or on the boat on January, right? So we're gonna put that to June. And so we just planned it out. And so
I love that.
Having a forward look and forcing myself to participating in these things, right? And so I'm busy, and again, air quotes, I'm busy, right? But that forces me into my schedule, into predicting the future for my kids and those relationships, and saying, okay, I'm gonna have a one-on-one date at this little Mexican restaurant with Micah in May.
I love that.
So, and that helps those knee-to-knee conversations, those shoulder-to-shoulder conversations happen, because I'll be thinking about, okay, I got to take her, and we're going to have this conversation. I'm going to talk to her and admonish her in this area of her life.
My kids are all grown up now, but still, the one thing I really do love, once a month, sometimes even more than once a month, my daughter and I will always go to a coffee shop.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's like that's our thing, and we found a new one. So it's like, can we go there again? Well, it's a drive, but can we? Maybe we'll do it next weekend when Dad's not working or something.
Yeah.
All right, so for you, because working with these kids every day, it's got to take a toll on you emotionally as well. So, what do you actually do for yourself?
Yeah.
For your mental health?
Yeah. So, my 3 things are fitness, faith, and then fun. Right. Fitness is easy. I know if I don't work out, expel that energy, it's just going to turn into me yelling at a kid,
frustration,
or an employee or something, right? Like, so I just know how I'm wired. I've got to do that physical fitness. Faith community, that's journal, that's daily devotion type stuff. Service. I had a psychiatrist friend of mine one time, and said, do something that doesn't make money. He was talking to a group of entrepreneurs, and like, give back, like it's a different part of your brain that fires. And so we do that. We serve at church. We host small group. So that's part of that faith thing. And then fun. I've got a wall of guitars at home. And a 1971 Chevy truck that I've been building from the ground up for a couple of years.
Nice. 350?
So, it's got the, actually I did a Gen 5 engine in it. So it's a pain in the butt to get the computer and all that kind of stuff sorted, and did a stage 2 cam, and it's loud as all get out. So it's pretty fun.
Now, I can't believe I'm talking cars now, but you said it's a 71 Chevy, right?
Yeah.
So with that motor, 71 Chevy, that had what, the 3-speed 350 transmission?
Yeah. So when we bought it, so it's a fun story. So when my brother was alive, I was in Tennessee. He was just turned 16. His car got stolen, and I found this thing in a junkyard, and it actually had a Camaro 327 in it.
Ooh.
So it was a junkyard. It had been wrecked or something. They put it back together. It was nice, and so he flew in. We drove it back, and then when he passed away, it just sat in my mom's garage for 20 years. And when I was turning 40, she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna fix this thing and give it to you." And I was like, "Hell no, you're not. I'm gonna do it," because that was our project. Like he had a truck, I had a truck, and we were building them, and so we were just kind of gearheads, and so trying to brought it since about 21, bringing it back to life, and it's just a slow go.
Oh God, I would love to have a truck like that. You cannot go wrong with GM trucks, especially the old Chevys. Oh
yeah,
I keep saying that's what I want. I want an old pickup truck with the 8-foot bed, which is something hard to find nowadays. With the bench seat in the single cab. That's all I want. That's all I want. Something simple. And what's your favorite guitar that you have?
Right now they're just seasonals. I'm a Strat guy.
Okay.
So I love the good old American Strat. Got a maple neck, got a mahogany neck, got an ebony neck, so. And I recently bought a PRS.
Did you really?
David Grissom fan. And so he played with, Malford Milligan and some guys here in Austin. And so they, followed him for a long time. So I picked up a PRS, and,
I believe they're still made here too.
Yeah.
In Annapolis, or close to Annapolis, maybe on the other side of the bridge. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's, oh God, that I keep. My son loves guitar. I always say Stevie Ray Vaughan reincarnated.
Oh.
And for a while he was keeping his guitars, and I don't know what happened. I got to yell at him again. All right. So with what you do, I love this question. What's something that you've learned from the teens you worked with that really surprised you or changed your perspective?
Every encounter just reminds me of God's grace and mercy for the shit that we do to ourselves, and he's just right there to say, "Hey, I got you. Let's go at this again and again and again and again." And every single story is the same way.
I love that. All right. So for listeners who may feel either hopeless or overwhelmed right now, what words of encouragement will you leave them with?
Man, I think that's it. That last statement, it's like you're not alone. You're not alone. Whether it's me you call or the suicide helpline, whatever that is, like, just don't wait. Don't wait until you're in the ER. Don't wait until you're facing a wall. Like, get help early, right? So. All
right. So before I get to my last question, which I have no idea what it's going to be, is there anything you would like to add?
No, man, this has been great. This has been really good.
All right. So I do something different now, whereas before there was particular questions I would ask, but I have 100 different questions here. Don't worry, Austin, I'm not going to ask you all 100 of them. I'm just going to ask you one. So what I need you to do is pick a number between 1 and 100. And of course, tell me why you picked the number, and then that's going to determine what the question is. Somehow or another, these questions have aligned with what we've been talking about lately.
Love it.
Too.
All right. So page 64 in the big book talks about the number one offender is resentment, right? And so we've kind of talked about that today. I always go back to page 64. I'm like, where's your resentment? How do we deal with it? How do we apply forgiveness and repentance to that resentment? So 64 it is.
I guess this in a way could align with what we've been talking about. Because I mean, you started this business in what'd you say, 2016?
Yep.
Right? Working with teens. So what's a common fear you've overcome and how did you do it?
All right. So fear of failure is just always looming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's building a 71 truck or being a dad or running a business. And so instead of thinking about eating the elephant, it's focusing on one bite at a time. And so no matter how big the project is, it's like, hey, can I turn this screw right here in front of me? Just this one single screw. I can't think about the whole project. If I can solve this one problem in the business or help this kid in this very moment, tomorrow will be another day. His mercies will be new, and I will tackle another problem tomorrow. So
I love that. In the quotes, the phrases you come, we're going to say they're Austinisms.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Book of Austinisms out there, man.
The little toilet guide,
Austin, I want to thank you so much. Thank you for everything you're doing. Those of you listening, make sure you purchase the book. After you read it, leave a full review and actually purchase more copies for everybody. This book would make great gifts for people because everybody's always dealing with mental health one way or another. And where can people get the book?
Amazon. Yeah. Easy.
Was it My Kids, My Crisis?
My Kid, My Crisis.
By Austin Davis. Do it, people. Austin, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you so much. It's great to be with you.
Thank you for listening to Conversations with Rich Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something from it as I did. If you'd like to hear more conversations like this, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, I'd love it if you could leave a review. It helps us reach more listeners and share more incredible stories. Don't forget to connect with us on social media or visit our website at conversationswithrichbennett.com for updates, giveaways, and more. Until next time, take care, be kind, and keep the conversations going. It takes a lot to put a podcast together, and my sponsors help out a lot, but I also have some supporters that actually help me when it comes to the editing software, the hosting, and so forth. There's a lot that goes into putting this together. So I want to thank them. And if you can, please visit their websites, visit their businesses, support them however you can. So please visit the following. Full Circle Boards. Nobody does charcuterie like Full Circle Boards. Visit them at fullcircleboards.com. Sincerely Sawyer Photography. Live in the moment. They'll capture it. Visit them at sincerelysawyer.com.